It's the only string you need. There's a story behind that. This is your daily message from Chad number 876 to upgrade your mental game today by telling yourself a better story. Because the most important story you hear is the story you tell yourself. This message is dedicated to listeners in Australia. Here's the upgrade. If anything is everything, it just might be attitude. Here's the story. The great concert violinist Niccolò Paganini, was standing before a packed house surrounded by a full orchestra. He was playing a number of difficult pieces and he came to one of his favorites, which was a violin concerto. Shortly after he was underway and the Italian audience was sitting in rapt attention, one of the strings on his violin snapped and hung down from the instrument. Relying on his genius, he improvised and played on the next 3 strings. To his surprise, and the conductor's as well, a second string broke. Now there were 2 dangling as he again began to improvise and play the piece on the 2 remaining strings. And you guessed it. Almost at the end of this magnificent concerto, a 3rd string snapped. Now there were 3 dangling, and he finished the piece on 1 string. The audience stood to their feet and applauded until their hands were numb. They never thought to ask for an encore. They expected him to leave, but Paganini held his instrument high in the air instead and said, "Paganini and 1 string," and then he proceeded to play an encore with a full orchestra. He made more music from 1 string than many violinists could ever do on 4. The difference, of course, aside from his superb abilities, was one of attitude. Instead of falling to despair and self-pity, Paganini's splendid attitude allowed him to take a very difficult situation and turn it into triumph. The better story to tell yourself is, I control my attitude with action, my emotion with motion, and my mood with movement. Attitude is a choice. What kind will you choose right now? Attitude is contagious. How will you infect others and allow yourself to be infected today? Attitude compounds. It builds on itself, constructively or destructively. Alden Mills wrote of attitude that, quote, "There are very, very few things in life we can control, but those few can determine our direction. Your attitude is one of the single most important things you can control. And if you're not careful, you will let others influence and sometimes even control your attitude for you." How will you define what attitude is? Tell me a story of the power of attitude to fromchadsmith@gmail.com and send me your definition of attitude. If it's this important, you should know how to explain what it means. Will you send this to someone you think would benefit from this story right now? You can download my book, The Most Powerful Story in the World, by going to fromchad.gumroad.com. The transcript of this message and hundreds of others are always available at www.fromchad.com.